Welcome to our greatest American art form.
The mixtape.
Now, for all of you kids who don't know,
Traditionally, a mixtape is a homemade compilation of media from multiple sources, recorded into a medium like a CD, a VHS, or cassette tape.
what we are presenting to you here is something we call Mixtape Therapy,
A collection of authentic conversations,
often wacky conversations,
inspired by what inspires us.
except instead of a cassette tape, we are bringing you a podcast
So just as you might share a mixtape, we share these conversations with you.
in the hopes that they spark a similar connection to the good old mixtape. Now, join us
for a little
for some
mixtape.
Mixtape Therapy.
Your father and I were just discussing his day at work. Why don't you tell our daughter about it, honey?
Janie, today I quit my job. And then I told my boss to go fuck himself, and then I blackmailed him for almost $60,000. Pass the asparagus.
Your father seems to think this kind of behavior is something to be proud of.
And your mother seems to prefer that I go through life like a fucking prisoner while she keeps my dick in a mason jar under the sink.
How dare you speak to me that way in front of her? And I marvel that you can be so contemptuous of me on the same day that you lose your job.
I didn't lose it. It's not like, whoops, where'd my job go? I quit. Someone pass the asparagus.
And I want to thank you for putting me under the added pressure of being the sole breadwinner now.
I already have a job.
No, don't give a second thought as to who's going to pay the mortgage. We'll just leave it all up to Carolyn. You mean you're going to take care of everything now, Carolyn? Yes, I don't mind. I really don't. You mean everything? You don't mind having the sole responsibility? Your husband feels he can just quit his job and you don't...
Will
Like,
someone
who's gonna pay
please
the fucking
pass me
bill?
the fucking asparagus?
not going to be a part of this.
Sit down!
I did not have to engage in any nonviolent communication or violent communication. No communication was had.
That's
I
great. Maybe that was the best communication. That was the communication that was needed.
Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Mixtape Therapy. Today, did you watch this scene that I sent you from
Yes, I
American
did.
Beauty? Okay.
Yes, I
Does
did.
it feel apropos of nonviolent communication in that it is the definition of violent communication?
Say more.
Okay. So I don't know how we're going to integrate this onto the episode, but I asked Scott. No, seriously, what? We'll have a soundbite from this scene, maybe? I don't
No,
know.
I'm just gonna show the scene. Like I'll just show the scene.
Okay, Scotty's a wizard. So I asked Scotty the other week, I'm like, what's been on your mind, man? What are we going to do for mixtape therapy? Because my brain is dead for many reasons. I can't think of anything to talk about. I'm like, let's just ask Scotty. And Scotty's been thinking about nonviolent communication. And so the first thing that came to mind was this scene from American Beauty, which is a movie that I freaking loved as a teenager.
When was the last time you watched it, the full thing?
Okay. There's a really weird anecdote that I have about American Beauty. I think the last time I watched it all the way through, I was probably, I don't know, college or early 20s, probably, like early 20s. I thought this is a really weird thing. I don't know why we're putting this out here, but here we go. Hannah's just going to say something stupid. So I thought that if you watched American Beauty, Hannah, watched American Beauty with a guy like that I was interested in, that watching American Beauty together was like the catalyst. We were going to fall in love. If we watched American Beauty together, then we would
Okay, hang on.
be lovers, which is really crazy because it's such a creepy movie.
No, wait, back up. So, was it a test or was it
Yeah.
it was a test?
Good question. Yeah. It's like if I was dating a guy or slightly interested in a guy, if we then watched American Beauty together and he understood, like he had the correct reaction to American Beauty, which is to think that it's this profoundly, existentially, profound movie, then that would kind of, yeah, he would pass my test. And then clearly, like, this was going to be a relationship that was meant to last forever and ever. Amen.
Okay, so because the other thing would be like it was like your move to like get him in bed. That was like your secret move to like make him move on.
It was kind of that too. I was a very
really?
I was a strange child. I still am a strange child.
You were exploring yourself. You were exploring yourself.
Hear me out.
Okay, go.
So I have just always thought that it was unfair that, like, I'm gonna finagle things and like make this romantic situation is something that has traditionally only been the purview of men. You know, it's like men do weird things and men have weird tricks to get women to fall in love with them or into bed if we're being more, less PG about it. Like men always have these tricks. And I was like, no, screw that. I want some tricks. And my trick is to take a normal guy, show him American Beauty, and then, oh boy, he's gonna fall in love with me, and it's gonna be amazing.
Okay, got it.
Okay. I was a theater kid. I don't know what else to say. So,
Can I just say real quick? I think that is everything you're saying is totally normal. I've had those feelings. I don't doubt that someone listening to it wouldn't, on some level, understand what you're saying. So I just want to bring
yeah,
that to like
that
that's
was
a
my
very
hack.
well. It's you're a teenage young person figuring yourself out, man. You do weird stuff. That's great. If you don't do anything, then you become an adult doing weird stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I did get a lot of weird out early. I hope. I don't know. What's interesting now that is that as an adult, I find this movie like mega disturbing. Now, it did win the Oscar. Like people, this is a movie under critical acclaim. It's also since been sort of canceled because Kevin Spacey was canceled, and Kevin Spacey is the star of the movie. It's also just like, have you seen the whole thing, Scotty?
One time, a long, long time ago, and so that's why the reference of that scene is very different from me. I think because you've seen it a bunch of times. I've
Yeah.
seen it once or twice, and then you just showed me that scene, and that's all. That's all I know. And
Yes.
anyways, keep going, keep going.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think when you're a teenager, you see a movie like this and it strikes you as just like really deep or really because it has tons of taboos, like gnarly taboos that we don't even have to touch on necessarily. If you've seen the movie, you know. But yeah, it's got all these like gnarly taboos, really dark humor, provocative things. And I think as a teenager watching that was like, I don't know. It felt profound. When I
Do
think
you
about it as an adult, I'm like, this is just dysfunctional nonsense. Unfortunately, oh no, just kidding. I thought I was gonna have to pause and close something. Okay, there's just noises happening.
I don't
We're
hear anything, by the way.
okay,
So,
we're doing it
so
live.
let me ask. Did the did okay? So you're a young person,
Yep.
and maybe you're seeing a lot of these things for the first time in this movie. These concepts of
Yes.
like whatever, right? And it made you feel smart and intelligent, like I know
Right.
something now. And so,
Sophisticated.
yes, but it's sophisticated. And so, if you showed it to the guy and he liked it too, that meant he was sophisticated, and it meant
Correct.
y'all were a match.
Yes, a litmus test
I
for
think I think people do that like yesterday. I think that happens like all the time as
sure.
adults, kids, because I think the internet does that to us. You know what I mean? Like we read something on the internet, like, oh, now I know something. Now I'm gonna tell all y'all fuckers about the internet and what's on there. You know what I mean? And then you're in a political fight on your Facebook wall. I mean, that's how that goes. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's a slippery slope, right?
What's a slippery slope?
Of understanding something and then instead of I don't want to say helping others understand, right? You hold it
Yeah.
as this thing that like I understand it. Let me explain it to like a power push. You know what I mean?
Are using it to judge someone,
Or yeah,
like judge
absolutely.
them off of their response to something. Yeah.
Yes. Anyways,
Anyway, yes, or a power thing would be maybe more germane to our conversation about nonviolent communication, right? It's like if you don't like this movie, you're stupid. Anyway, the scene stands out to me because I think it really well encapsulates the appeal and the draw of violent communication, as in communication that is designed to win, right? I'm engaging in this conversation to make a point, win an argument, and basically overpower another person.
Selfishly win.
Yeah.
Personally win. Yes.
Yes, right. Not win like, oh, we're gonna have such a wonderful
It's not we win, it's I win.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is just one example of innumerable examples in our culture that bolsters this type of communication as like, yeah, admirable, advantageous, to be emulated or mimicked. Like we think if someone can like, oh, like slam dunk, make a really sweet point, or like shut someone down in an argument, that's seen as a skill or a positive thing. When, you know, as a couples therapist, just came from a couples session, by the way, just got out of a session with a couple. I can tell you that if you go through your relationship trying to win conversations, you will be losing your relationship. Like you will be losing what, like the most important part, which is
It's what you're trying to keep.
correct.
Weirdly, by winning. Like
Unless you don't want to be in that relationship and you really want to try to exit that relationship, then by all means win the argument. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like if you're trying to win,
but it just sounds like you recommended fighting. You're just like, look, if you want out of a relationship, just win every argument and you'll be fucking out of there before you know it. I mean, you will.
it's true
but I mean,
though. It's
yeah,
true.
Very true. Very true.
Man, Scottie, I want to ask you because you've been on this topic of nonviolent communication for a hot minute now.
Oh yeah.
And which, by the way, nonviolent communication is a whole culture. Like beyond just being a book. And remind me of the guy's name. Is it Peter? No,
It's Rosenberg.
Rosenberg. Yeah.
I forgot his first name. So bad. It's Rosenberg though, is his last name.
Yeah. So like any cool, good thought, wow. Like any process of thought, nonviolent communication is something that has a tremendous amount to be gained from it. And then there's also an over adherence to it in the incorrect way can create like a weird subculture where I'm just going to say what I mean instead of talking around it, which is that I have heard a lot of people who like engage in nonviolent communication workshops and like that's their whole thing and they're like super, super into it. But then they themselves kind of manipulate or utilize the principles of nonviolent communication to effectively like silence people's feelings or opinions or like, right, you can be manipulative. You can take any good thing and you can use it poorly. So I've heard of, before you got so into it, Scottie, I heard specifically about people who had like dated people who are really into nonviolent communication and how it really got kind of turned into sort of like an effective tool for gaslighting. Right, which is to say, like, unless you're expressing your feelings in this really specific way, I'm not going to listen to you or I'm not going to hear you, which I'm sure goes against the principles of nonviolent communication. That's just me filibustering. So, Scottie, tell me you've been on this for a while. What is like what's got your brain right now about this?
Well, I want to say this. I want to say, like you know this as a therapist, like someone comes in, they know nothing, and they learn enough to be dangerous, right? And then hopefully they transition out of that and understand that second part they went through is not their role; it's the third part of the role, right? You know what I mean? And I think, in my opinion, what you're speaking to, these people, like what sounds like a cult, which is not like what I want to be something part of, right? It's those people that are caught in the second area of this, you know what I mean? Because like I used it with a client the other day, and I could see very quickly, like it's like as an example, like so I said something. Let me take that back. she said something, I engaged the conversation, and then the conversation she started, she didn't want to have anymore. That's what happened, to be honest, right? And so I said to her, I said, I feel like, you're really upset right now. You know what I mean? And she goes, I am not upset, like obviously upset. I am not upset and blah, 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 or whatever. And I think a really stupid person would not understand. I shouldn't say that. A really non-practice, uneducated person would not understand that that's not the moment to go, well, but I'm really noticing you're upset, that maybe just sit on it for a second. You know what I mean? Let that fire calm down a little bit. Maybe this is not the day to bring, it's not the day to wear all your cool shit at once, is what I like, and that's the balance of all of this. Because let me get to where maybe I can connect more with you on this, right? This is what I think. I want to believe, well, okay, one, I think this idea of complete nonviolent communication is isotopian. Is that the right word? It's like, I don't know if you could ever have this perfect world where everybody communicated great. Like it's not going to happen, right? But two, I really want to believe that that's the way Jesus was.
Mm.
And I want to believe that that's the way he talked to people, like, that's the way he heard people, and that's the way he talked to people, and that's the way he approached everything, and that's how he disarmed people, and that's how he took the worst people and changed the situation because he showed up as that person. I don't know if Jesus did it every day. I don't know, maybe they only wrote about the times he was real good. I don't know. Maybe he had crappy days. I don't know, but I want to believe that that's how she showed up, and that speaks very much to me. And so, I've not only been reading a lot about it, but I've been having a lot of conversations with my own personal therapist about it. And we have a lot of conversations about like, what if I show up and I speak my needs and I ask for my requests and none of them get granted? Nothing happens. Then what are you going to do? Look, we have a lot of those conversations. She's always like, well, just wait. I'm like, I know, I know I'm on the long haul for this. I'm in for, but like, how do I know where to draw the line? How do I know where to stop? And, and how do I know when it is time to go, I love you, but this is not the relationship I want. I love you. I care for you, but this is not the situation that I want. And I have to do what's for loving me and you. I have to do what's best for me and separate myself when I've given as much as I feel like I could give. And I also feel like that, just to wrap up that second group we're talking about, they're not giving everything they give. They're manipulating a situation to make it for them. And I mean, anytime anything is like that, it gets culty. Christians can be like that and be culty like that. You know what I mean? Like, I know the Bible, so I know more than you.
Yeah.
I got to save your soul kind of shit. And they ruin it for everybody else, really,
Yes. Well, okay. Going back to this scene, Scottie.
Okay, yeah.
What did this scene bring up for you personally?
Man. One, fantastic scene. Super intense. I didn't remember it, so I'm seeing it kind of like with the first eyes for the first time. And and the name of the scene is The Asparagus and the Slap, right? Which was really interesting because I was like, where, like as the scene goes on, I'm like, well, the slap, where's the slap at? Where's the slap going to happen? You know what I mean? Because I didn't remember, right? And so honestly, what it brought up was just like all the shitty parts of myself. You know what I mean? Like all the things, all the passive aggressive stuff I said, just like that kind of ugly behavior, the opposite of nonviolent communication.
Yeah.
Like the verbal usage was violent, the word choice was violent, the intent was violent, the physical was violent, right? And I think you said maybe at the very beginning there was a lot of violent communication. And I don't know if you said there was no nonviolent communication, but I really feel like kinda when the mom goes upstairs and she goes to the girl and the girl says, "I don't want to be a part of y'all's bullshit," or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like she's like, or whatever. Worded in a different way, worded in a very kind of more, like it spoke instead of pointing the finger at you and going, I feel overwhelmed by, or whatever by what is happening. I feel like she's trying to do nonviolent communication, but for the most part, we're kind of wired to talk like she talks. We're wired to do kind of, I mean, there's a lot of like, we just say a lot of ugly things to each other and we don't think about what we say a lot. And I guess for me, I want to be more intentful about that. And so I think that that scene just exemplifies or like what it means to me or what I feel is that there's another way to do that whole thing. There's another way. There would be another way to do that whole scene
Yeah.
in the exact opposite where everybody wins. Because even the daughter gets punished.
Yes.
I mean, it's not even her problem if she gets punished.
No, it's the marital argument that, yeah, that the teenage daughter gets sucked into or drawn into, which something I've been thinking about a lot because I also this is something I've been kind of wrestling with, which is what's the difference between, being a voice of peace or adding something positive versus just kind of like excusing yourself completely from the interaction.
Say more.
Yeah. So, for instance, in my family, and I think people take turns, but often in my family growing up, I would play like sort of like the neutral party or like the peacekeeping party who's like talking to both sides and like, you know, just wanting people to get along, essentially. And so I've been told throughout my life, and by the way, I've been terrible and shitty in communication too. I've also been aggressive, passive aggressive, all the things. It's not like I never raise my voice or yell. But I've also been accused of being too passive, right? In the midst of conflict, right? Like not taking a stand one way or the other, but instead just really trying to like diffuse conflict. And trying to understand what the line is there between am I adding something good or am I just letting or am I just like so neutral that I'm not doing anything helpful? And yeah, that's like that's a really tough needle to thread.
What do you think? What is your intent? What is your intention when you do those things?
Hmm. It depends. I mean, sometimes I'm genuinely just exhausted and like have checked out of the conflict and um but I would say oftentimes my intention is that everyone gets to feel heard and seen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We could apply this to so many different things. Politics comes to mind. It's like if you're not taking a hard stand one way or the other in politics, then you're effectively enabling the enemy, right? As opposed to, is there room, like, is there actually room in the middle to like communicate across these like dialectic oppositions? Like, is there room for compromise and communication? So much of the rhetoric that we're getting now is that there isn't really a lot of room for nuance, or there's not a lot of room to be in the middle. And so if you're someone who is in the middle, whether it's a political thing or a personal conflict, right? Like you have people in your life that are fighting. I think by trying to be the voice of peace and reason and stay in the middle, you're always going to disappoint someone. Like this idea of like everyone winning, I think is it's elusive. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No,
Um,
no, I'm just thinking. Okay, we'll just call it black, white, and gray, right? We all understand how important gray is, right? And you could use politics, but whatever. You could use whatever it is. The most important part is the gray. And the most important part for you to work on is living there. Because if you're one more person living there, that might talk one more person into living there. And I think that, you know, again, if you want to use Jesus as an example, it was like, hey, I'm showing up as like this really good guy, so you should too. And he modeled that as, I'm assuming, all the time, right? And so that's what curates change. So, you know, I don't know. If I were like you were talking, just to talk about politics. I'm not going to talk about politics. I talked about politics yesterday. That's what got me and this client so fired up. But let me just talk about the fact that like I think that in a in a political arena where there's just two sides, there's no third choice. The third choice should always be you and yourself and what you believe in and what you think and stuff like that. And there's always going to be pressure to join one side or the other. But ultimately, you know, I think that the majority of us could be found in the middle. I mean, I don't know. People are just never as extreme as they seem to be online. Nothing is ever, I haven't come across anything that is as big as it is online ever. And so, you know, what are we taking away from this American Beauty? We had a lot of different conversations going on here. Well, what are we taking away from this? We're taking away the fact that violent communication is bad.
well, here's what I think. Actually, I mean, we should talk about this for a second. I think something that makes for a really good scene, and I mean this literally in a movie, but we can extrapolate further metaphors from this. What makes for a really good scene, a really satisfying, dramatic moment, a compelling thing to watch, is often really damaging in reality. Or
It's like our love songs we talked about, like super, like high
yeah,
energy breakup songs. We've talked about it before, how the emotion that pulls you in, right?
yeah. Yeah, I think anything that feels triumphant or like a slam dunk in the moment when it comes to an argument is probably, I don't know. I just think those are portrayed publicly as triumphs. I think in reality, those moments are not what we should be aiming for. I mean, what makes for a great movie scene, I don't think makes for a great conversation. I don't think makes for a good interaction.
Again, uh, art does sometimes imitate life, but a lot of times art is like really blown out. Like it's an unrealistic expectation. It's like when we talked about the Disney princesses. It's like, you know, it's a really, you know, it's like, you know,
Have you
like it'd be wonderful. You know, it's like this utopia on, you know, of what we think we should do in movies and the internet and music and things, but like life is kind of more boring than that, I guess. You know, I mean,
right? And a successful moment in life is probably going to feel pretty like, right? A good conversation with your partner is probably not going to feel like dramatic and intense and worthy of being shown on a big screen, right? A successful conflict resolution with someone you love is not going to, yeah, it's not going to be like this big explosive moment. It's not going to be something that other people would find compelling or entertaining necessarily.
my I think this would be I mean, it sounds so obvious. I think all my successful conversations, like there wasn't a lot of shouting and yelling. And I mean, this sounds so obvious though. Like all my successful conversations, it might have been tense and when I had to work through something, but at the end, like we kind of, either kind of agreed to disagreed or agreed that it needed more time. And like we came to some sort of resolution, compromise, agreement. That's when, and like you ain't nowhere close if you're throwing asparagus. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
If you have something that's mixtape therapy for you, you let us know. Hannah, we'll see you next time.
See you next time, Scotty.
Bye.
Bye.